Hi everyone! Welcome to Anything Can Be a Puppet. This video is all about a style of puppetry called object manipulation, which is exactly that. It's about manipulating objects, whatever they might be, giving them life and character, and therefore turning them into a puppet. So the objects that I have in front of me range from a beginner's level to an intermediate level to an advanced level as well. And the first one I have here is a soft toy. Soft toys are very useful to start your puppetry practice with because a lot of the visual work has been done for you. So we know that this is a rabbit, and it would be very easy to manipulate the rabbit's head and the rabbit's paws, and it has ears, and we can draw on media like cartoons, films, books to help us in conveying this kind of character. A little bit of a step up from that is something like this or something like this. And these are a little bit more difficult because we know that this is a spring onion, and we know that this is some sort of sieve thing. So we have to work harder in convincing an audience that these can be characters. So we'll have to delve deeper into our imagination to be able to characterize these objects. We can associate a shape like this with the human form, and that's something that human beings will naturally do because it's the closest thing that they know. We would start to think that, oh, this kind of looks like hair, maybe it's a really tall, slim kind of person. And this kind of character, again, doesn't look like a human per se, but maybe these sort of bits on here could be ears or antennas or eyes. This could suggest that it has a really round face, or if you had it this way up, it could suggest that it sort of had a long, thin upper body and then like a round belly and two tiny little legs or something. We sort of associate objects that resemble the human form a little bit more. And again, this sort of can serve the same purpose if you had it this way up. Maybe if you had it this way up, it would be more difficult and you'd have to explore the movements in a different way. An orange, you could use the textures of it, like that could, I don't know, be some sort of eye. It's not obvious what this character might be. Same as the sponge and same as this whistle. What I'm going to attempt to do now is, with each of these objects, I'm going to show you the kinds of things that I would be doing in exploring them if I was given them. So the first rule of puppetry, or principle of puppetry as some will say, is breath. And breath is always where you should start if you're given any object or puppet, because it is the biggest indicator to an audience that that thing that you're manipulating is alive. I'm going to show you with each of the objects just a short example of how I would convey breath to an audience. The other thing to remember about breath, and the reason why it's so important in puppetry, is it's our biggest emotional indicator. So in human beings, if somebody was breathing very quickly and shallowly, we might read into the fact that that character is terrified of something, or maybe even excited about something, depending on what's going on in the rest of the body. Or if somebody was really breathing quite out of control, like hyperventilating, we might think that that character is maybe just run away from something and is getting their breath back, or is hysterically crying, or maybe even hysterically laughing. So the breath can tell us a lot about what's going on in the character, and the bigger you can make your choices in your object, the more we can help the audience understand who that character is. The second principle of puppetry that I go to is focus, or eyeline. And eyeline is really important to discover because it allows an audience to understand where your puppet is looking and what it might be looking at. And that's really important when it comes to storytelling. So I'm going to do a similar thing and show you a starting point for discovering the eyeline of each of my objects. So there you can see that I've started to have a play with where I think the eyeline for each of those objects might be. So now we have breath and we have an eyeline for our puppet. The next thing that I do is I try and workshop or discover all the different ways that my object can move, which will help me to build a character for my puppet. So there you have it, an introduction to object manipulation, looking at breath, eyeline and movement. And as you can see there, you can spend quite a bit of time with your object discovering all the different ways that it wants to move and all the different movement qualities that it has. And the longer that you spend with your object, the more that your character will start to emerge, and you'll start to find movements that then suggest a type of character for your object. And then you can start to build on that and see if you can create a little story for your object, or maybe you have two objects and you can create a scene out of those two objects. Whatever you choose to do, I hope that this has sparked your imagination. Feel free to send any photos or video footage of anything that you create, because everyone at the Watermill, including myself, would really love to see it. So happy object manipulating, and I'll see you all soon. Take care.